Hey guys, welcome back to our Toon Boom Storyboard Pro tutorials. In this video, I'm going to be going over the three basic shots using the camera mode to help us frame shots. I'm going to be I'm going to be showing you guys how to do camera moves, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to do some basic multiplaning. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to go over is the three basic shots, okay? So I have my establishing long shot, I have my mid shot, and I have my close-up shot. Okay, so when I'm flipping through my panels on Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, you can see in the camera move, it just goes tighter and tighter into the shot. Sometimes that's hard to see what I'm looking at on the stage view. So what I want to have instead open is my camera view. So my camera view just shows me what is going to be exported. Okay, so it's a more true version of what I am looking at and the framing I'm going to have. Whereas in Storyboard Pro, when I'm working, often you'll have this turned off, which is the actual framing for your shot. So it kind of blacks it out like a mat on a painting. You'll often be working like this, and you'll kind of get lost about where you are in the scene. So I find the ways to make sure my composition stays strong, which is very important. So I want to have this camera mask turned on, and that'll show me that. And then I like to have a small window, and I provide a little bit of space on my screen over here for a small window. And on this window, I always have my camera view open. So when I'm working, I can always refer to this screen over here and see how my actual shot looks like, and keeping that in mind. So that is under Windows, Camera View. Windows, Camera View. So I like to make a little space for that and keep that open over here. If you have two monitors, I would just have it open on monitor 2, and that'll make your life a lot easier. When I'm in the studio, that's what I do, but for the purposes of this is how I'm going to rig it up. Okay, so main shot, right? Basic establishing shot. I can see where the characters are in relation to each other. I can see where the characters are in the background. From this shot, we always want to refer back to this shot and bounce back to this shot so the viewer can continue to know where we are in space and where the characters are relating to each other. When we cut into these closer shots, so now I've gone into a mid shot, maybe my character would be walking towards the character or doing some acting here, looking ferocious but moving forward. And then for a big emotional beat, so this would be a mid shot, so establishing shot, main shot, mid shot, more acting beats go in here. And then the last really basic shot is the close-up shot, okay? The close-up shot we're using for all the big, really big emotional beats, big character moments. You go in super tight on that face and get some acting going on in there, okay? These are the three basic shots that we use in animation, and I'll tell you, in storyboarding today, I use these basic shots all the time. People want to do over-the-shoulder shots to create depth, which are cool shots, and we do use those. But these are the bread and butter shots that we go back to all the time, okay? Really, once you start introducing really high camera shots or really low camera shots, you run the risk of losing the story and the clarity of the storytelling. So keeping it very simple with these basic shots that always work is a good way to make sure that you're going to have some good clarity in your storytelling. So one thing I really want to point out with these three basic shots is that they are the same setup, and I'm just going tighter on them, okay? I'm not moving the camera around and adjusting where I'm viewing the action from. The camera is steady and just cutting in tighter. So wider, tight, tighter. Using that, keeping my camera simple, just tightening up, it works. I don't need to move around the background to get cute, messing things up, endangering the clarity of the storytelling. Just going tighter on the characters, getting a tighter shot, cut-ins from the main master establishing shot. Okay, the two other shots I want to talk about are the over-the-shoulder shots, okay? So in my setup, my characters are here. Now, Wolfman is walking towards this young person. So here we have it from the young person. Just over the young person's shoulder is the camera. So the camera is right around here, and it's looking out at Wolfman. So we get to see Wolfman approaching us this way. And this gives us a really intense, kind of scary kind of shot. And it's pretty easy to set up. You can just manipulate elements of the background and your placement of your characters, okay? So I've taken the kid layer and I've blown him up. You can see here I've blown him up and made him much larger. I moved around the background so that tree that was to the right of Wolfman in this establishing shot, I've now moved it further and closer behind Wolfman, so it's as if the camera is looking down the graveyard towards him, and I've cheated it that way. The inverse of this shot is, of course, the over-the-shoulder of the Wolfman, and we are now looking at from the kid's perspective. So the Wolfman is approaching the kid and is going to eat him up. Okay, so this is a scary shot where we get to see the reaction of the kid being scared. Okay, so when I'm thinking about laying out my shots, I'm always thinking about the rule of thirds, right? So the rule of thirds, breaking up my scene into this area, my big focal points are here and here. So wherever there's a big intersection, that becomes where you want your focal points, right? So I got my kid here, I got my werewolf here, okay? So those are good focal points to think of. When I go back to my main shot here, and I'm thinking of the same thing, where are my main action points? Again, they're there, right? So my main focus points are right in those hot spot areas all the time, okay? I'm always looking for that stuff. So those are the three main shots. When I'm composing, I'm always starting with a thumbnail. Boop. I'm building that up and making sure I have a nice composition. I got some nice hot spots. And then I'm not being overly complicated with my shots. I want to stick to a main shot, a mid shot, a close-up, and then maybe over-the-shoulder shots. Maybe a slight up shot here, a slight down shot here. I'm not getting too crazy with Dutch angles or big high cameras or super low cameras. Those serve a purpose, but for beginners, real clarity of storytelling, this is the important stuff. You want to think about your shots too. I'm flowing. My camera's here, it's further out, it's slightly closer in, it's slightly closer out. And then maybe the next shot would go to a mid shot and then move back out to an establishing shot again. That way my camera always feels like it's flowing too. Okay? So that is my spiel on the basic shots of storyboarding. We'll end this video here, and in the next video we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of doing camera moves in Storyboard Pro and doing a little bit of multi-planning, okay? Thanks, guys.